Oof. Yeah. I'm invisible. Oh, I'm behind the live thing. Yep. I'm behind the... I'm literally... my face is in the wrong spot. There I am. There. Now, I should be visible, actually. Ugh. Let's move over to the main camera. That sure seems like part of a Vulcan. And I don't know if I've streamed working on this or not, but that's... here's what we've got going on at the moment. Wonderful Vulcan parts with crossbolt stock. Where's the rest of the parts? Yeah, don't look behind the curtain. Don't look behind the curtain. Actually, though, where's the base of this thing? So I've got most of the rest of the parts in this box. Like the guts, and the guts, and the other guts. But I don't know where the muzzle is. Oh, that chair is noisy. Yes, it is. Aha! There it's hiding. Behind the curtain like everything else. Okay. Wonderful Vulcan muzzle. So, noisy, noisy, noisy. So what we've got going on is just today I made these bits of angle aluminum that bolt into place. About like that. And what we're working on is got to take and surface prep this general area here where the stock attaches for epoxy putty to clean it all up. I'll raise you up just a bit. Hopefully I sound okay. Wire wheel for the Dremel. An extension for my monster Dremel. And massive amount of noise here coming up, so watch out for that. Ugh. Alright, so got that all sanded down. Or, not sanded, but brushed down. It's ready to be filed. Oh, I missed one. Somewhere. It's already here because I was using it earlier. There we go. Probably should have made the thumbnail more interesting. There'd probably be more people in here right now. Yeah, more brighter colors. That would have gotten all the people in here. Oh, then I've got to do up and in here around this guy and cut that out so I can epoxy in that corner. Oh yeah. even more area to be sanded and cleaned for epoxy putty. There, like the one wheel. Alright. On with the adventure we go. Surface prep, do. Definitely a lot easier than trying to get in there with the sandpaper. Well, some of the places you still will. Actually, I don't want to sand this side. I don't want that half to stick. This side, on the other hand, we do want to stick. Hit it with a coarse rat tail file and really gouge it out, and it'll stick pretty good. Oh yeah. Fat round file. There we go. Azuli Duck. Hello to you too. Now the sticky part. epoxy putty. This tiny bag. A sacrificial anti-stick material. That's right. Other surface prep to do. Degrease it. First bit of epoxy putty going on to the stock integration on this whole blaster. The rest has all been hot glue, screws, and aluminum. Of course, the hot glue is mostly temporary. Not all of it, but most of the hot glue is temporary. There actually is quite a bit of nonsense. I suppose I did cut this in the shop with the angle grinder, so maybe there's some nonsense got into it when I did that. Some grease or oil or something. Big chunk of epoxy, gray. I think it's 2-inch gray conduit to fill in this gap in the cross bolt. This tube of epoxy putty has got dry chunks in it. Not sure what's going on with that. Not sure at all. Might have been a bad batch. It'll still work, it's just not. Especially if this was going to be super cosmetic putty work here, it wouldn't be great for that. It's definitely full of clumps. I feel it. If I had a better camera setup, you could probably see more anything and everything that's going on here. If you notice me turning my head to, well, it's my right, that's where I've got the monitor. Kneading the epoxy putty. This is a pretty, like, runny, not quite runny, but very droopy brand of epoxy putty I've got here. So it's going to be a little bit of a deal. I kind of got to wait for it to firm up, otherwise it just breaks right apart on you when you go to apply it. This stuff, anyhow. Can't remember how old this stuff is because I got that box of it. I think some of this is where that other I don't know, this snaps into the color half, so. Do want to hurry up and use this before it cures on me. Only like an 8-minute work time on this or something. Forget exactly what it is for epoxy putty. I'm sure each brand has a different work time. Alright, I'll need a little more for the face of that and a little more for the back of that. Well, yeah, she's right at the end of her working life. This epoxy's gonna go now. I don't think that's gonna hold. Which is marginally problematic. Set up too quickly on me. Rather, I mixed up too much of it at once. Alright, that bit's done. Should I continue to work on this side? I don't think that I should. I feel like... Oh wait, I can't work on the other side, really. What can I do while I wait for that? Not much, I think. I think it's not much. I can surface prep this color piece. It's currently white in primer. Let's have a look. What all contacts? I think it's this area. I mean, that does, but it's behind the thing. I don't know, I'll surface prep it anyways, right? It's mostly this area figure. Front and back of it. That area, and then, like, here. And a bit of there. And then that'll. The face of it. Yeah. Literally something in my eye. Got my file full of paint. What's better at removing paint? I think a scraping tool is. The fact that there's epoxy putty on my hands right now is part of the reason why I only primed this and didn't put it into color. Also, I did it last night, and the color or clear coat would still be sticky right now, and then it'd be even worse. So instead, I could just get to clean it up and hit it with another coat of primer, and then color. Alright, most of these inside surfaces I'm just going to have to layer wheel. That's the area that's getting epoxy putty. Let's see what this looks like now. Not quite cured, mostly cured. Still a little bit sticky now. I think I can try and pull this hot glue out. Yep. Should be fine to pull the hot glue out. Grab my other better knife that's got a razor in it so I can actually cut this stuff free. What the heck? Oh. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Ouch. I mean, not serious ouch, but like... Nope, that epoxy putty needs to set more. This hot glue's still doing most of the work. Yeah, it's part of that epoxy putty's going to be marginally problematic in the future. I'll just set it back in front of this incandescent light bulb to help catalyze its process there. And yes, I'll show off more of this whole situation here, what we got going on. So it's the crossbolt stock, the crossbolt priming grip has a space filler here. And for some reason I was thinking about this, I had that bandolier strap covered, but I didn't. Nice. Oh, that's another thing, is this, the bottom of the grip on the other half. That needs to be prepped. Right in here. I feel like I can do most of that with sandpaper. Side. Where did that big piece of sandpaper go? Hasn't fallen. I need to invest in a less noisy chair. And spending the time to relocate the motor head for my Dremel setup. That's sanded. Oh yeah. And we'll see what that epoxy putty looks like. Oh, I can still squeeze it. That's gonna be a minute. I'll take apart the other half, do the prep work there. I like how I've built this, so I need all 3 sizes of Phillips screwdriver. That makes sure, you know, it can come right apart. Alright, that bit is sanded. This other bit I'm going to have to do up with the wire wheel with the Dremel. Oh yeah. Oh, that's right, if I can't get epoxy putty there because that's where that angle goes. Safety first. epoxy coat, you should stick to that like nothing else, right? Probably didn't want to take that off because that's kind of where I got the colors that I want to keep going. Well, the colors aren't going there, but they're staying there. I've got colors there I want to keep. Oh. The squeaky chair never fails. The squeaky chair never fails. Hot glue out, epoxy in. All these parts are already gray. Easy. Probably would have normally gotten flat black primer, but today we got an army green primer because I don't have enough of the flat black for that. Yay. Watch the self. Watch out for the self. Cut in a direction where pointy things are not aimed at humans. Yes. Point the pointy things away from the humans. No human pointy thing contact allowed. Nice and slow, consistent pressure. Stay here more in this corner. Alright. Wire wheel this out. Putty it. Go from there. There's the one. Honestly, I might forget if I don't sand this now. So I do want to change the color of it marginally. From gray to green to back to gray. Some hot glue there yet. There we go. always hand the epoxy putty some more epoxy putty to stick to it. I feel like that might be something that's coming up in the future. Coming up in the very, very near future, just moments away, seconds away even. Just like a finer file. Clean it up. Nice and clean. Good clean bevel. Plenty of sharp surface area for new epoxy putty to stick to. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to end up painting this in as well. Do a little bit of prep for the paint work too. Oh no, the hand fell off my hands. That's not meant to happen. Let's see physical orientation. Oh yeah. Much better. Never want loose hands. Some epoxy putty, or not epoxy putty. Some rubbing alcohol. Great for killing the thing that, you know, YouTube doesn't let you talk about for reasons. Yeah. A hand sanitizer bottle is the most efficient way to store smaller quantities of rubbing alcohol. Yeah, stay put. There we go. Oh, what did I do with my epoxy cutter now? Is that it? Is that the one? No, it's not sticky. That one seems awfully sharp. An epoxy cutter. Where's my epoxy cutter? Oh, it isn't falling down. Unless it is that one. Guess it could be. There it is. That's the one I was using for that. That's what I get for setting things down. Should just hold everything at all times, constantly. Then you never forget where it is. Alright, this time not quite so much. This one may not need it all. I mean, we'll definitely need it all, but we may not need it all, you know. We'll need it thoroughly, but I don't know if it's... We don't need the whole tube to be needed right now. See, some of those needs are with a K and some are without. The necessary needing commences. Sit here on camera and play with this epoxy ball. The ball of epoxy. Oh, this is the wrong half of the blaster. Oh, I knocked me over. This is the correct half of the blaster. Here, I'll set it like this so you can see that purple lens I've got there. I'm going to tuck my voltage alarm voltmeter behind that so it'll constantly be flickering the different cell voltages from behind that purple lens, and it should look pretty neat. Should look pretty cool. And then the balance lead extension from that back to the 3S LiPo. And then if I want to run this at like an HVZ, I have to run the motors, all four of the flywheels off of the 2S in the front grip. And they'll maintain the firing motor on the on 3S. And I've got a PDW over here that didn't fit, that was never going to fit inside of my modded Infinus, so I don't know if I'll have room for that in this or not. I guess I can figure it out. I suppose I do have space where the original battery tray is, which I can't use for batteries because the mag well is there. Because I went and made it mag fed. Because I'm not going to gouge for belts when other people want them. I say mag fed, it's drum fed. This is a drum fed blaster. Should exclusively be using 25 to 50 round drums with this blaster because of how amazing and epic its size is. Its barrel's too big to be using stick mags. Got too much pride and too big of a barrel for stick mags. Yep, there are those granules. Uncooperative epoxy putty coming through now. Minimize the sanding that will need to be done in the future here. Pack it in there good. Get a good adhesive bond. I guess this part is mostly just cosmetic. I mean, it will support the primary battery, the 3S, but I'm going to design it so that I can go into the mag well and switch what battery it is, or I might fit it with a relay so I can switch it on the fly, but that won't do me any good anyways. Because if I'm at an event, I don't know, maybe. Or having the ability to turn on a second battery remotely might be useful if I use up a lot of battery at an event. No, that epoxy putty's toast. Drop it in the garbage. Get a little bit more here in a second. Just finesse what I have here. It's still some hot glue there. Now, we'll get this all smoothed out here shortly, and then go from there. That's probably wet enough yet. I could probably take and cut off just a smidgen more to finish that out. Just a smidgen. And a smidgen. That looks like enough. I hope. Maybe a slightly smidgen larger smidgen. Like that. I think I got these back in like 2018. Might have been, or 16 even. It might have been 2016. When I got this epoxy putty, I can't remember now. It was either 16 or 18 because it couldn't have been 17. I think in 16 I wasn't using putty yet. So it was probably 2018. Maybe. There's good reason for this epoxy putty to have granules in it, and this isn't going to set up right because the mix is wrong. Yeah. Eventually it'll be right because even if you mix the stuff poorly, it should still set up and do its job. Right? It'll still do its job without, with only being hardener or with only being catalyst, I don't know. It's epoxy putty. It should be, it's magical. Basically. Especially when your fingers are covered in it. And it's especially magical. Yep. Oh yeah. This is the rag I wanted to use to clean my hands. Careful not to clap that against. Oh yeah, and let it into where your dry skin is all cracked and stuff. You gotta sterilize those open sores and wounds, right? Oh yeah. Nothing quite like the pain of straight isopropyl in an open cut from where you slipped on the ice. Slipped in the ice the other morning. Now that ice is mud. Thick and slippery driveways. Could have hurt a lot worse if I hadn't been carrying a socket set in that same hand and let that hit the ground first. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. She's all coming together now. This is most of how I vaguely planned this to be. Alright, just epoxy putty between a cross bolt stock and a piece of PVC. All of this half of it getting painted a light, like a medium Krylon gray. Alright, I need a quick bathroom break, and that epoxy putty needs to set up anyway, so I'm going to leave you with this video short here. Maybe I'll find a different video short to show you all while I'm away to the restroom. All of apparently seems like there isn't people here, but I'm sure. Let's see, what does it have for options here? Audio. I think that's the one I want. Let's see, what is... Yep, media source. Create new... Oh. Yeah, that's... Well, okay, do that. Browse for a file. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. No, not that one. Definitely not that one. What's in here? Ooh, the stuff from the other day. Oh, I know. Wait, isn't that? Actually, yeah, okay. That's some, there. That's a thing. No, we'll just go back here and, no, we'll go do the long one. Okay, and cut.
Huh. That's very strange. Yep. And the back. This putty needs more time to set. Point the camera up where I can actually see my face. I don't need to look at OBS right now. I should probably be looking at where chat is. No. Nobody in chat, apparently. That's fine. At the moment. Yeah, maybe I should work on that. Stay put, you silly putty. Vulcan guts. The guts of a Vulcan wired for both XT60 and, yes, and a Tamiya connector. And a rocker switch for the rev trigger, because, you know, more people need to do cool stuff like that. At the moment, what I am after is this guy. Voltage alarm and voltmeter connected to a balance lead connector for a 3S LiPo. And my customized, very, very custom magwell, which is painted in yellow. I'm starting to regret having not painted the very bottom of it, which I can totally take this apart and do that yet. And then I extended the magwell so it'll actually stick out through the bottom of where the original battery tray was. Which I had to, you know, clip to let that into there. This might hold a PDW someday, so I can control my rate of fire better. Yep. Very, very fun time bending up this brass and attaching everything with screws and bolts and such, but and of course I had to change my flywheel cage because these two kept touching everything inside of there and overheated them, and you can just barely tell that that's warped, so I'm going to cut it off here and use it as a battery or flywheel cage for some other project. Probably going to shove this into a recon with solenoid, which actually the solenoid I ordered for the original project for this, which was literally to take that same magwell and put it just on a strong arm grip and build a blaster basically from scratch with base parts. And then, you know, a Vulcan fell into my life, and it was a much better fit to have 4 Krakens in a Cat 5 cage inside of a Vulcan, you know, and then because I have 2 locations to put a battery, I can, you know, switch between having this be 150 FPS and what I'm going to guess will probably be 120, 130 FPS on Cat 5, which is, you know, Cat 5 is too much for what I need for that. I don't know if the dual stage flywheels are where all the performance is coming from, or if it's something else, but where was it? Oh yeah, locating the voltmeter in here. That seems potentially problematic, actually. Let's see what our guts look like in there, and if I have to, I guess I can cut out the top of this catch area. That may not be any problem at all. Let's point you down where you can see what I'm looking at here. Is if this display is going to hide behind this switch of lens right here. Okay, I can bend those backwards. That's not an issue. Upside down, probably not ideal, right? although it would work, it physically would work, and then literally put just a 30-degree bend in those pins and send the wires right out into where the rear battery tray will be. Because literally the battery will be sitting right here, and then I can open the front jam door from the cross bolt and be able to take the battery out. And then the front magwell and the grip literally just unclips. It's a beautiful friction fit with a little bit of pivot action. And then the whole thing comes out, and I can take that battery out, which is what this mess is currently wired for. This is for the flywheel cage, this is for the main battery, and then this revs, and this motor is here already and has its trigger. And everything's beautiful and functional and happy. Let's take a look. Let's start by bending these pins back, I think. I don't know, do I need this plastic sleeve shroud? This set up for potentially as much as, yeah, potentially for a 4S. I left a pin on there on the voltage thing, potentially to do a 4S later. That's great. Because of course that motor will run on a 4S, I guess. So I've heard. 3S for the pusher, and 2S for the motors. It's like a baby version of the actual original deplorable. But of course not belt fed. There it is. Get my nippers. And the needle nose. Just a hair more. Maybe one at a time. That one at a time doesn't really work. The whole group then. There we go. The whole group. See what that fit up is like. Potentially. Less than ideal, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it kind of hits right where that screw post for this guy is. As well as running into the shell, literally. I'm going to set it back a little bit so that things aren't too... right like that. That's more than something I can make do with right there. And then that's plenty of space for that. Plenty of space for everybody. What did I do to shorten the T chunk of the other one of these? Can't remember. I think I took the pins out. I think that I literally took the pins out. Neat thing about these is you can bring them around like so. Plug them back into each other, into themselves. That cracked more of the shell than I was intending for it to do so. Good news, it's all hidden. Bad news, it cracked the shell. Oh, it's going to do it again. Yep. Alright, let's get some relief going. Oh, poor old Vulcan. I'd want to Dremel you, but it's all noisy and time-consuming. If it's more than you can bear, I'll really use the Dremel, but of course this is this heavy-duty old Nerf plastic instead of a light-gauge new crap they're using. Built for the harsh play of early 2000s kids. Highly recommend wearing safety glasses for this if you're going to put your face too close to what you're doing, because one of these chunks comes out and hits you in the eye, and it's definitely going to hurt. Probably won't actually injure you, but it'll definitely not feel pleasant. I think you guys can hear that, and that's fast. Those are moving at least as fast as the darts that this thing shoots. And this thing is not a slouch. There we go. Oh yeah. That'll hold the voltage alarm just fine. Of course, that's not more than half of it, so I'm going to have to carve out more. So it'll actually hang out with the stuff on the other side. Well, it's close. It's real close. Gonna carve out a touch more out of right here. It's quite close indeed. In fact, I think the wire wheel will take off the amount of material I need it to. Like this. Seems like that might be too high-tech. I have to come in with something slightly more old school. Camera angle. One way you can actually see what's going on. Good.
I'll have a look again. Maybe just set it there. Well, it's like this little annoying spot that didn't. I don't want you to fall, no. Or you. And we'll just take and do that. Of course there is. Not run that more than you have to. Surprised I haven't had somebody come in and ask about what this Dremel is. But, I don't know, probably nobody cares because they're sensitized to everything anymore. It's like, oh yeah, why isn't it just a drill press anyways? All Dremels should be drill presses. Get it to fit in to halfway. Top and the bottom. I think so. I think that's close to halfway, top and bottom, and of course I never plugged in the hot glue gun, so now I have to wait for that to fit this properly. Yep. And then whatever difficulties fitting the guts in here, I'll just cut whatever I have to. Looks like that screw post has to die. Let's see, where's that screw post exactly? This one, right here. Tragic. Luckily there's plenty of these in here. Goodbye, screw post. You served your purpose well. Probably should have tried to take that out in one piece so I could use it for something else. I will save this bottom part of the screw post though. That's for sure. Especially since it's pre-threaded. Oh yeah. Taking a little bag of parts and drop the screw post in there for some other point where I could use that.
first time I've done that. And when it's open, a person can just barely reach in to push this button. Not that that's the most important thing ever, but then again, it sort of is important to be able to push that button, I think. I don't know. Of course, these colors and these colors are all different. Let's see if it makes some noise. Yep, noise. Oh, 11.1, 1, 3.6, 3.6, 3.6, no, 7, 3.7, 3.7, 3.7. Ah, why am I coughing? Oh no. Oh, dry throat. Better drink something. Alright, I'm going to plug in my hot glue gun in its safe hot glue collecting tray. And, then I'm going to eat this Rice Krispie treat right here on camera. And whenever I smell hot glue wafting my way, I'll know it's time to plug in the, to permanently mount this using hot glue, because used correctly, hot glue is permanent, but used incorrectly, it's not. Used correctly. Okay, yeah. We are streaming audio, that's good. I thought I turned that on. Yep. Okay. That epoxy putty seems permanent now. That's good. An interesting way that these fit together. Very good. Everything still fits up perfectly. Yes. Yes, very much blaster appears to be made out of blaster. And if I really wanted to, I could probably get away with just ignoring the epoxy work on the other half of this for quite a while. But there's no fun in that. Wrap it in some plastic or some tape and full on sand it. Now I've got to carve it out right here because it's in there, and it should not be in there. Oh, this angle is just entirely wrong. Entirely wrong, yes. So, you know, the epoxy putty's going to have to really come in and work there. Because that's, you know, that's dead on straight, right? Like, definitely aligned properly. No goofs here at all. No need to break any epoxy putty or start over. Well, we'll just force it, add more weight, do all that. Return to Rice Krispie Treat. And the hot glue's starting to waft up now, so it's nearly ready. You know, if this was a little bit neater in here, I'd show off this workbench and how I've got stuff like glue sticks and fresh Dremel things hanging on screws in the front of the workbench, and like my Dremel. And then when the hot glue gun is cooled down, it also hangs up here. And I've got a power strip on this front support leg to plug various utilities into, like hot glue guns and soldering irons and shop light, or lights. I've got one fixture that specifically has a medium wattage incandescent bulb for producing heat to help things out when I've got adhesives or glues that I want to cure, properly. Is the plastic still on this? I don't know if I don't know that removing the plastic's a good idea, but I'm going to. I already did. It's not going back on now because it won't be sticky again. If I put that there now, I don't think I'm going to be able to fit this guy, am I? Maybe. Oh, let's see. Yes, I can. All the way. Yep. Sure enough. Well, let's send it. Try to not get the hot glue directly into places I don't want it, of course. Like outside the shell. Just hold it here like this and hope hot glue runs down into where I want it, right? It probably would help if I held this in place correctly. Goodness! That was my desk fan, just slid down. I wonder why. Well, I set something over there. stay put. And hopefully epoxy. Epoxy. Yeah, we're spending the time to do epoxy work here. Oh yeah, that hot glue's very, very hot, which is how you get things to actually stay put when you hot glue them, is to get the hot glue actually hot, and not just, you know, warm. Plus, hot glue cares slightly less about surface prep than cold adhesives do, so that's good. Alright, that's glued. I'm going to unplug this now. I'm done with it. Shouldn't need more for a bit. I've got some hot glue in a place where I don't want it to be. You can adjust it quick. There we go. 1 voltmeter voltage alarm installed, and then I'm going to have a second voltmeter, one that just displays the total voltage here without the alarm. So that way I can actually see it, because this one faces forward, and, well, since this one constantly scrolls through what its stuff is, like automatically, I thought it would look cool here. And I'm pretty sure that it will, you know, look cool just having the numbers constantly rotating through. And then this plastic lens, purple lens, is from an old entertainment system, like a sound system. The display on that. Clean up some of this hot glue a little bit where it's come apart at the edges. Isn't really holding anything. And then this shouldn't display enough light to show any of the hot glue globs inside. Yeah, right there's a touch distracting, but I don't think most people would be able to see that. I'll come in with a knife later and clean that up, I think. As long as the balance leads will reach from this guy into the battery tray, which they more than do, it's all good. It is all good. And then boom, we're right into the battery tray. In fact, I might have to shorten this later depending on how the fitment is. I think I've got plenty of room, but I don't know. Should have plenty of room in there. And then I'd like to take these pins out and heat shrink this just for reasons. Well, they should be pretty evident reasons as to why I would want that. But they're all nice and protected. Throw that in garbage. See how hot this is, whether it's safe to hang it up. It seems like it should be. And I've got this bit of string on here. And just a screw hanging out front of the workbench, off to the side of the actual main working surface. And hang things on it, like hot glue guns and hot glue sticks and Dremels and bits. Alright. That's not the right half. It's the left half, actually. Oh, I see. The thing touched the thing, and probably when I adjusted the light earlier to actually, you know, give my face the magical glow that it has right now. It destabilized my fan. Oh, that seems to fit up okay. I don't know. Of course, seems okay and is okay are two different things. Let's drop her in place. Nah, let's not drop it in place until after we smooth out some of this epoxy, but just gonna see, have a look at my current fit up. Yeet. You're either correct, you're not. It's you. You're the one. You're the one. Oh yeah. Angle aluminum makes your integration so much stronger, especially when it's exposed. Especially when it's exposed. Oh yeah. And that's a fit up. That's for sure. It's a fit up. Now, of course, everything that's white here is going to get painted yellow to match, and then this gray area is going to get painted gray along with like the back half of the handle. Basically, I plan to just come in with a wrap of tape here, and then right up this seam into here, wrap into the gray. And I don't know if I'll paint the aluminum or not some color. I might not. And then, you know, this area where I epoxy putty it will be yellow as well. And I'm just going to leave this gap because basically you're just going to see the orange tab at the front of the jam door there. It's not a big enough gap for me to care about. That reminds me, I do need to still cut where that line is to let, to be able to fit the battery in fully. I kind of wish these vents weren't quite so weird like they are. Well, that should give some idea of what assembly's going to look like. And literally right here, perfect battery tray. Oh man, I almost do have enough just right on here to reach. But I don't have enough. So probably it'll go in like this and then wrap up to this guy. Yeah. Oh yeah. Maybe I should have sanded more of in here. Oh, yeah, take that off. time to start doing more epoxy putty things. I'll probably take this right back off of here and fill in the void with epoxy putty. And then take a strip of tape right across there so that I don't do too much. Yep, I think that's a plan. Filling the void. Well, you guys can't see most of what's going on here anyways. Getting pointed up too high. I wonder what definition am I streaming in? 360. 360 is not right. Let's have a look. Output. Oops. Cancel. Huh. No, well. Apparently it's 360. I don't get it. It should at least be in 480. That doesn't make any sense. And this camera doesn't go down too low. It's a bit dusty though. It is a bit dusty. Alright. Fill the void. Yes. Tape. Yes. Since I've got an ear there, I might as well fold that ear over so I can take the tape back off later. The pointy one. The pointy one's way over there. Because with the pointy file, you can set it at an angle and scritch into even the deepest cavities in order to properly surface prep them for putty. Oh yes, you can. Too bad I get to destroy some of the best lines on the Vulcan. There's a blue dot on there. Apparently I sharpied this somehow. Okay, what time is it? 8? I've been going at this for hour and 45 minutes. Beautiful. Suppose Bobo streams this time of day, doesn't he? Should hate to be cross-competing with the Bobololo. But I needed to get some content out. Show off this beautiful Vulcan mod. Well, I didn't use rubbing alcohol on this first, so it's not going to stick. Silly, silly me. Of course, I think I did give this Vulcan a bath when it was new, so... or new to me, I should say. I don't know who originally owned this Vulcan when it was new. Oh, that's right, I don't need this epoxy putty to look pretty because it's literally getting covered. Literally getting covered. That's a good idea. Take and cover the inside of this guy with tape. That way I could potentially just lay down a blob of epoxy putty and wrap right through it. Why did I use so much? Mystery, mystery. Some relief cuts for proper folding. oh man, I am absolutely glued to the edge of my seat. Yep. Apparently Duck is the only one who's going to pop into chat tonight. Or at least so far. Alright, that tape should help protect it against hot glue, not hot glue, but epoxy in improper places as best as it can. As best as it can, yep. Now I just start packing it in there, right? Start packing epoxy into places. I think so. I think that's how this works. Let's see, what time is it now? Alright, at 8:30 I'm going to shut this down, just turn on Bobo's stream so I can watch that. Assuming he's streaming, it's Sunday. He's got that other weekend streaming space. So I'll probably have this fully epoxied on stream, and then we'll worry about the rest of this. Probably when it's finished, I'll have the video out. I don't know. If I work on this tomorrow, I might have the video out Tuesday or Wednesday. If I finish it, I'll probably film and edit the video that night, and then, yeah, it'll take all night to render, so it would be up first thing the next morning. Probably with the more ambitious stuff I want to do for mounting the cage in a more permanent fashion, it's going to be, I'll probably have this finished Tuesday night. This is hardly enough epoxy putty to get started. just so happen to believe that that's a good thing. No. Just keep constantly stacking more layers of epoxy putty on top of each other. If I can keep track of my epoxy cutter under the pen somehow. Somehow under the pen. Isn't all Bobo streams is him doing epoxy work? But like actually with his face on camera, constantly the whole time, most of the time. Instead of actually showing the blaster sitting on your lap like what I do. Of course, I think he's smart and wears gloves when he works with this, but if you can't feel it, how do you know how ready the epoxy is? If it isn't clinging to you constantly, it can't possibly set up properly, right? Yeah, that's not going to leave artifacts or like anything in there. No way. I'm going to emphasize the fact that this razor blade is dull and that I'm not moving it in a direction where it can cut me. Also, I've got an epoxy armor on, so it triply cannot cut me because of how physics works. But I should emphasize that it's basically just a really narrow piece of steel and not a sharp one with an edge. At this point, I mean, you could poke somebody with the corners, but that'd be about it. It's totally safe the way that I am using it, since I've spent enough time around these materials and tools and such to know what their dangerous and safe applications are. And I certainly wouldn't do this if it weren't covered in dry epoxy putty. It's like, not only am I covered in epoxy putty, but so is the edge of this former blade, and therefore it is unable to cut me, given the circumstance. Now, it could probably cut me if I drug it along myself the other direction in an actual cutting motion. And then I'd be in pain. Then I'd be in trouble. Alright, now this should be set up enough where I can use it without it just being a complete fluid. And it is.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. In fact, that's actually too much. Oh yeah, lovely, lovely artifacts in the epoxy putty. I love to see it. And that's set up. So, let's see, what is it? 8:27. I gotta take and play the outro and shut down the stream.